Spirit 1260 Breakfast with Pablo. I'm joined on the line by comedian Kevin Bloody Wilson. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Pablo, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. You said during the songs that you got a friend called Pedro as well.
Yeah, I do have a really good mate, Pedro Callum. He often visits up this way as well. He's a pipe fitter and also a poet, so he's a bloody good bloke. So I'm used to Mexican names, Pablo and Pedro.
Well, you're going to be up in the Pilbara next Wednesday and Thursday. You're currently in Newman at the moment. And first up, Kev, my boss Jude, she wants to know, does your dad own a brewery and how frisky do you get on first dates?
Tell her there's only one way to find out.
I'll leave that up to you when you see her up in the Pilbara, okay? I'm not brave enough to say that to her.
No, we'll sort that one out.
Just talking about your childhood briefly, though, what were the songs like around the campfire for you when you were growing up?
As a kid, well, we grew up with almost everything. You know, we were exposed to a lot of music in our home. There was no musicians in our home, but there was always music there, you know, radio and records. So anything from, you know, the Beatles to Slim Dusty was right across the board, and we all had our favourites, and we all grew into each other's music as well.
On the comedic side of things, who do you try your songs out on first before they get up on stage, Kev?
Oh, definitely my wife, Betty. And if she walks away in disgust, I think, yep, I'm on a winner there.
Does she ever get too offended that you think, maybe I shouldn't take that one on stage?
Only if I write the song about her specifically.
Yeah, I can't imagine that you're winning too many arguments on that one.
No, I wrote a song called I Better Get Betty Home, folks, but it's a party piece. I'm not allowed to do it on stage.
Yeah, you're one of Australia's most successful comedians and you continue to tour and perform. I've heard on average you do 120 concerts worldwide each year. Do you ever get tired of touring?
No, not at all. I'd never get tired of performing. There's sometimes you'll be sitting in an airport, you think, you know, I became a musician so I didn't have to get out of bed early, but you'll be sitting at an airport at 6 o'clock in the morning and thinking, you know, how did this happen? But at the same time, you know, this didn't happen. The whole Kevin Bloody Wilson thing didn't happen to me till I was 37. So, you know, I experienced a very normal life, you know, as an electrician on the gold mines in Kalgoorlie. So this came along and I grabbed it by the horns, and it's just been an amazing journey. So every now and then you're a little bit inconvenienced by, as I say, 6 o'clock starts, but that's okay.
Now, where's the most bizarre place that you've ever performed?
Oh, that's a good question. My mind's going into computer mode at the moment. I tell you what, it was in Western Australia.
Okay.
In Derby, just outside of Derby. I played at a leprosarium. The last leprosarium in Australia. It's since closed down. But a group of nuns, and I knew one of the nuns.
Wow.
From Kalgoorlie, and she asked if I'd come out and play some songs for the patients out at the leprosarium. So I did, and it was a funny day, very funny day.
I can imagine. And what's your favourite song that you love getting up on stage on and performing? Well,
my newest songs are always my favourites, but at the same time, I'm very much like, you know, a typical audience member. I love doing songs like Living Next Door to Alan and Hey Santa Claus because I see the joy on people's faces that, you know, that's their favourites, and they pay top dollar to come and hear those songs. So I'm always happy to do them, you know, even when I'm sitting around with mates, I always throw those songs in.
And Kev, you know, obviously you love combining music and humour. Did you ever try stand-up comedy at the beginning and then decided that you wanted to move into songs, or how did that all come about?
It started the other way round.
Oh, okay.
That way, because what actually happened, I was a musician in a band, and I did that for a lot of years, but in the band we used to frog around with other people's songs anyway. You know, back in those days, people like Chris Christopherson, why, I'm going to take the ribbon from your hair. We used to change it to wipe the dribble from your chin. And it sort of grew out of that, was just decomposing other people's songs. And I went in to record a whole bunch of them, and it turns out when I got there, the producer of the album said, oh, you can't do that unless you got permission from the original writer. So I had the studio booked for 2 weeks, and I thought, Jesus, I haven't got any permission. And most of them were overseas writers. So,
yeah.
And this is long before the days of internet and things, so everything was done by text and telex and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not even sure that faxes were around in those days. So it would have just taken forever to get that done. So I just sat down in that 2 weeks and wrote all my own songs. I just started from the ground up and all of a sudden I was a songwriter.
You mentioned being in a studio, and I know that I was reading a little bit about you in your early age, and you got a bit of a background in radio as well, and you even set up Kev FM online. Do you ever miss the radio side of things?
I do, because, to me, when I was working radio in Kalgoorlie, particularly on the commercial station, 6KG, I used to just do country music. That was also while I was an electrician, you see, so I was just part-time. And so Sunday mornings I used to get up and just grab a bunch of my favourite records and go into the studio and just share them with the listeners. And I loved that side of it, and introducing to new artists in those days were people like Charlie Pride. And so it was quite interesting how the whole thing's evolved and turned around, because we've just done a TV documentary around the world that's hopefully released in summer next year, or later this year rather. And Charlie Pride actually sings one of my songs in the documentary. Wow. So one of my nicest songs, though, I've got to point out, Pablo.
Well, you
mentioned... Not a Santa Claus or anything like that.
You mentioned that you have been travelling around the world a little bit, and I know that you're working on doing, branching out and doing some other things like TV. How's that side of it all going, Kev?
It's going good. It's a long process. I think the theme for TV is hurry up and wait. You work in spurts, if you like. We've got to go back and to some of the places we've been and do some follow-up shooting. So, that's even the shooting side of it's 12 months apart, and then the edit takes as long as the shooting. So it's an interesting format, but it's also a very rewarding format in terms of, artistic, I guess. I have trouble spitting out the word artistic alongside my name. But I guess rewarding in that, it's very satisfying to know that you put it all together.
Comedian Kevin Bloody Wilson, thanks so much for taking your time out this morning. We look forward to seeing and meeting you and hearing from you and singing along with you next Wednesday and Thursday at the Tambray.
Good on you, Pablo. Thanks, mate.